Hello everyone, this is Jenny Love with Jenny Love Journals, and today I am going to do a flip through video of a golden book journal that I just got done finished making. This journal is for sale in my Etsy store. As always, it is first come, first serve. So if you like what you see and you want to grab it, hurry up and get over there and get it while you can, because there is only one of these. So this is the Little Golden Book, Home for a Bunny. And this particular book, it's an older book, but this specific book came out in 1989. So it's not that old. However, there is a lot of vintage ephemera and pages in this book. I focused more on the vintage side of things when making this. And also, this book is not very fat because I didn't pack it full with a ton of stuff like I usually do. While there is a lot of good things in here, I do apologize for the glare. It's coming from the bottom of my my camera holder. But yeah, the majority of things that are in this book are very vintage. So there are two signatures. I sewed them in using 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and this is just some fabric that I used to cover the binding, and just kind of lined it with some vintage rickrack. And the rickrack itself actually has a date on it. If I can find it here, 1973. So it is vintage rickrack. The fabric, I don't believe, is vintage. I did buy it from a Goodwill, so I really don't know how old the fabric itself is, but nevertheless, I thought the colors went really good with the book itself. I did put some gold corner protectors on it to protect the corners from getting smashed or bent. So let's open it up here. The book itself is in really good condition. The only thing is there must have been a price tag, you can see, or something right there, and whoever tried to take the price tag off obviously ripped that little part of the book. But I personally don't mind that. I mean, whoever ends up with this book, hopefully they don't mind either. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. There we go. Maybe that was just a little too much. Okay, there we go. So yeah, let's open it up. So we have just right here on the inside cover a little pocket, and I put a journaling card in there. And the pages of the book are in order. I think it's every 3 or 4 pages that I put the actual book pages in, but they are in order. So this is just a page out of a vintage flower book, if you will, and the book is actually scented. Like, you remember back in the day when they used to actually make the pages of the book scented? These are actually scented, not strong at all. I mean, you really have to get in there to smell it, but they smell like roses. It's really interesting to me. This is a page out of an old gardening magazine that I just tore out and added into the signature book page. This is an old sewing pattern, vintage sewing pattern from the 1970s. And I just put a pocket on there and put some ephemera in there. Okay, and then here's another pocket. This is a Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad Company card. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's like a billing card or something. And then this is a vintage game card from an old game from the 70s. I don't remember what the game is called, if I'm being honest with you. So if you know, if you recognize this piece and you know what game it goes to, let me know in the comments. Okay, this is, again, a piece of paper from an old gardening magazine. This is from an old Sears catalog. I want to say it was the 1950s is what this page came from the catalog. This is an Edith Holden book page, and I have clipped with a little teardrop clip just a few pieces of ephemera. Now, these are not vintage. These are just reprints. And like I said, I just clipped it to the edge of the page, to the edge of the Edith Holden page, I should say. There's the other side of that. Here's another book page. Again, the story is in order. Piece of ledger paper. This is a page that came out of a old notebook, I want to say from the 80s. And then this is tea-dyed lined school paper that, or I'm sorry, coffee-dyed lined school paper that I coffee-dyed myself. This is, here, let me show you because it's kind of hard for me to explain. It's from this, it's the Montour Steam Electric Station, Pennsylvania Power and Light Company. It's like a big pamphlet kind of thing, if you will. And I just ripped out a few sections and included that into the signature and then just glued an ice coupon ticket to the bottom. And there's the other side. Here's another coffee dyed lined school page, and I just glued a vintage lady onto there. There's another little pocket with a label and some flowers. Edith Holden book page, and I just clipped on a little map card. That's not vintage, I don't believe. Here's the other side of the Sears catalog page, and it actually shows the Barnum and Bailey Circus, the Ringling Brothers. And what's cool about this is where I live in Florida, I live about an hour south of Sarasota. And in a cemetery in Sarasota is where some of the family members of the Ringling Brothers are buried, and they have a huge monument, mausoleum, if you will, and that's where they're all buried in. And we've actually visited them and filmed a video. Again, if some of you follow my channel or have been following my channel, you know that I have another channel where we do like paranormal investigations and explorations and things like that. And we actually filmed that video when we visited their gravesite, and it was really, really cool. So if you guys want to check that out, I can actually leave the link to that video in the description, but I thought that was pretty cool. There's another page from an old 1960s gardening book, not a magazine, but book. Here's another sewing page. From the gardening book. And if you hear weird noises, that is literally my Chihuahua snoring by my feet, so I do apologize. This is another page from the Victorian book that smells like roses. So I thought that was pretty, and I put that in there, and I just made a pocket and put these two. These are actually textured paper, if you can see that, and there's some pressed flower things in there. I don't know what you would call them. They're like little pieces of flower or leaf. And the same thing with this. It's hard to see the texture on camera, but they are textured. That's the end of the first signature, going into the second. This is another page that I took from a gardening magazine. Another sewing pattern paper. Several things in this pocket. Like I said, I didn't fill it up too much, so there's definitely more than enough space to fill it up more if you would like to, whoever ends up with this journal. These are order blank for plants and flowers and things like that. And it is out of a vintage catalog. And I just paper clipped a little card to that. And then here is another part of the railroad pamphlet I showed you earlier that I took out. And I just paper clipped an old blank, looks like library card, like a school library card. Another Edith Holden page. Some of, yes, you'll notice that some of it is a little chopped off, and I had to do that, unfortunately, in order for it to properly fit in this book, because some of the pages were like longer than the rest, and it didn't look very good, so I did have to cut some of them down. Another coffee dyed lined paper, and I just clipped a few pieces of ephemera. This is from an old 1960s gardening magazine, basically telling you how to properly fertilize your garden. The colors in the book itself are very vibrant because the book, I mean, was in just excellent condition for being 40 years old or something like that. Edith Holden. Here I clipped a little radio card to another order blank form to order some flowers and plants. This is actually a piece of vintage wallpaper that I cut out and made into a tuck spot, and it's like the fuzzy kind. Like, I don't know if you can see that it is raised, and the blue part is like fuzzy and soft. I don't know if they still make wallpaper like that, but I love it. And then inside, I actually clipped it so it doesn't fall out. But this is a vintage postcard for the Monarch Typewriter Company in Syracuse, New York. And funny story, even though I live in Florida, I was born and raised in Syracuse, New York. So I thought this was pretty cool. And this postcard is from the 1920s. So this is very vintage and I love it. So I just clipped it, can't even talk, clipped it just so it wouldn't fall out. Probably the most vintage piece in this book. Tells you how to prune your vines and things like that. Love this page, absolutely beautiful. This is another page from the old Victorian smelly book. Not smelly in a bad way, but... And then that is the end. So yeah, guys, again, this is for sale in my Etsy store. First come, first serve, because there is only one. I will be making more. I just don't know when. My next project will be working on vintage journals in general, just everything vintage. And that is going to be my next project. And I'm actually going to be making 2 of those. And both of those I will be making on camera. Pretty much every step of the way so that you guys can see the process of making it and maybe hopefully inspire you to do the same thing. But yeah, so we will be starting on that very soon. I've been gathering things to get that started. And again, I had a lot of fun making this, and this is for sale. And the link to my Etsy store is in the description below. And as I always do when a journal sells, I will put in the title of the video that it has been sold, just so that you're not wasting time going over and trying to look for it. So if it doesn't say sold in the title, then that means it's still available. So anyways, guys, thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this flip through video, and I hope you have a great day. Stay blessed.